Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck are calling it quits 2 years after they tied the knot.
Looking back on that, I really feel the stress of it. I could cry talking about it.
The truth was, we took our time, we made the decision, we didn't want to show, we grew apart, we had a marriage that didn't work. This happens.
Jon deeply cares about Ben's struggle to stay sober. However, Jon's concern has grown as Jennifer shows renewed interest in her ex-husband, Ben. Over time, Jennifer and Ben recognize that their marriage was falling apart. A painful realization, especially because their children were caught in the middle. Jennifer once turned to drinking to cope with her sadness, but quickly understood it wasn't the answer. Before we go any further, it's evident that the situation is much more severe than anticipated, and this is just the tip of the iceberg of surprises, the public pressure. Looking back on those days, Jennifer can't help but feel emotional. The memory of the stress they went through still affects her. For Jennifer and Ben, the main reason to reconsider their relationship was to avoid showing their kids a poor example of marriage. If Jennifer were to speak openly about it, she might thank Ben for their time together, seeing it as a valuable experience. But the constant public attention added even more pressure to their relationship, forcing them to make rushed decisions like getting married or staying together just to calm the rumors. Little did they know, the decisions made in haste were about to unravel in ways no one could foresee. But this wasn't the worst part. As time passed, Jennifer Garner found herself caught in the ongoing troubles between Ben Affleck and his current wife, Jennifer Lopez. In May, Jennifer was seen visiting Ben's home, which quickly sparked a lot of gossip. People speculated that Ben had left the house he shared with Lopez. Insiders, however, said Jennifer wasn't trying to interfere. She was genuinely concerned about both Ben and Lopez and wanted to help them save their marriage. This situation puts Jennifer's current boyfriend, Jon Miller, in a tough spot. As the CEO of the Cali Group, Jon finds it increasingly hard to handle Jennifer's involvement in her ex-husband's marital issues. He understands her concern for Ben, but feels that maybe she shouldn't be the one to try to fix Ben's relationship problems. But there's more to it than that. Jennifer's actions aren't just about being kind. They show her deep feelings and sense of duty to the people she once called family. While her commitment is admirable, it also comes with emotional risks, which could strain her current relationship with Jon. Jon feels torn. He appreciates Jennifer's caring nature, but worries about how her involvement might affect them both. And then, there's the constant attention from the public and the media, making things even more complicated. Every visit and every rumored argument adds another layer to an already complex situation, with past and present relationships all tangled up. This ongoing story shows just how hard it can be to manage personal relationships when every move is watched, and private moments are turned into public gossip. But this is just part of the problem. As Jennifer and Jon try to figure out their relationship, they also have to deal with the shadow of her past with Affleck. It's a tricky balance, supporting a former partner while also protecting the health of the current relationship. For Jennifer, stepping in to help with Affleck and Lopez's marriage shows her lasting goodwill and belief in the importance of marriage. But for Jon, it's a constant reminder of how complicated it can be to love someone who still feels responsible for an ex. When Ben's breakup with Jennifer Lopez happened, it hit him hard. In the past, she had always been there for him during tough times, but this time, she decided it was time for him to handle things on his own. A source close to her shared that she told him he needed to sort out his problems himself. This was a big change for her, who had always been a strong support for him. But this wasn't the hardest part. She made this decision because she was deeply concerned, not just about him, but also about Lopez and their children. She understood how all these family and personal issues were affecting everyone, especially the kids. She realized she couldn't keep taking care of the complicated parts of his life. She decided it was time to step back and let things unfold without her involvement. In her mind, it was a way to acknowledge that this was no longer her responsibility. This was a big step for her, who had spent years being the person he turned to whenever things got tough. Deciding to step back was not easy, but she knew it was necessary. She had to focus on her own well-being and the health of her current relationship with Jon, who had already told her he was uncomfortable with her continued involvement in her ex's life. His worries were not just about how all this was affecting her emotionally, but also about how it might hurt their relationship. When you're always involved in an ex's life, it can put pressure on a new relationship, and he was feeling that. He admired her kindness, but also knew that setting boundaries was important to keep their relationship happy and healthy. But stepping away from her role as her ex-husband's unofficial advisor wasn't simple. It meant thinking hard about her own needs and limits, especially when it came to helping an ex. It also showed how much she had grown and how committed she was to creating a healthy environment for herself, her children, and her relationship with Jon. The challenges didn't stop there. The whole situation brought to light how difficult it is to deal with relationships involving ex-partners, especially when children and new relationships are in the mix. It made clear how important it is to have healthy boundaries and to be strong enough to stand by them, even if that means saying no to someone you once loved. With her stepping back, she could put more energy into her life with her current partner and her children, making their home a more peaceful and stable place. This decision, while hard, was an important step in finding her own peace and keeping her relationship strong. For him, her decision to step away was also a turning point. It made him face his problems more directly and take more responsibility for his actions and how they affected his relationships. This wasn't just a test for him, it was also a chance for him to grow and become better. Now, let's explore what experts say about staying friends with an ex. The Art of Amicable Exes. Amber Kellerer-Andrews, the co-CEO of Kellerer International, recently talked with Nikki Swift about how tricky it can be to stay friends with an ex while being in a new relationship. She pointed out that having honest communication, being emotionally mature, co-parenting well, respecting each other's privacy, and understanding everyone's needs are key. She stressed that setting clear boundaries and knowing where your priorities lie is crucial to avoid any conflicts. Amber also talked about something called triangulation. This happens when a third person is brought in to solve problems between two people, but it often makes things more complicated instead of helping. Because of this, Garner's decision to step back from helping Affleck with his personal issues was a smart move. Amber explained that recognizing the signs of triangulation early and dealing with them quickly is important to keep all relationships healthy, especially when children are involved. But this wasn't the end of the story. While Amber discussed these ideas, the personal lives of celebrities like Affleck and Jennifer Lopez continued to unfold with their own unique challenges. After getting back together in 2021, they chose to marry quickly in Las Vegas. This decision surprised many people, especially since their relationship had always been in the spotlight, drawing intense public attention. Meanwhile, Garner, who shares children with Affleck, is taking a more careful approach in her relationship with Miller. Despite all the drama and public interest, their relationship remains strong. But unlike Affleck, she is not rushing into marriage. In 2021, she shared with People magazine that she is happy with where she is in life and doesn't feel the need to get married again right away. She wants to take things slowly, focus on her children's needs, and make sure that any big decision, like marriage, doesn't make her family situation more complicated. But this wasn't the most challenging decision she faced. Garner reportedly turned down a marriage proposal from Miller, deciding that her children's needs and her own peace of mind were more important than moving her romantic relationship forward. This choice shows how much she cares about her family and how thoughtful she is when it comes to her relationships. Interestingly, Affleck is supportive of Garner's relationship with Miller and chooses not to interfere. In the same way, Garner respects Affleck's relationship with Lopez and keeps a respectful distance. This mutual respect and decision not to get involved in each other's personal lives show their maturity and their dedication to raising their children together without letting their past affect their current lives. Ben and Jennifer's relationship is quite a story. They were married for 10 years, And even after they decided to go their separate ways, they kept a close bond. Their connection was so strong that they continued living together for a while after the divorce, which made for a pretty unique living situation. Their story began on the set of the movie Pearl Harbor in the year 2000. But the real spark didn't happen until they worked together again on Daredevil. It was during this second project that Jennifer found herself drawn to Ben, who she saw as the classic tall, dark, and handsome guy. By 2004, they were officially a couple, and just a year later, they became parents to 3 children. Ben often spoke about his family with great love, saying on The Ellen DeGeneres Show that he felt incredibly lucky to have them, showing how much his family meant to him. But this wasn't the whole picture. Despite looking like the perfect family, they faced some tough times. In 2015, around their 10th wedding anniversary, they decided to separate. What made their breakup different from many others was their choice to keep living together. There were no big fights or public arguments. Instead, they took a calm and thoughtful approach. Ben moved into the guest house of their family home to make sure their kids' lives stayed as normal as possible, keeping their daily routines mostly the same. Their main agreement during the separation was always to put their children first. They decided to keep the family home as the main place for the kids, focusing on what was best for them, not what was most convenient for themselves or based on their feelings toward each other. But this wasn't always easy for them. While the arrangement was mainly for the children's benefit, living under the same roof, even in different parts of the house, often led to tension. Being so close meant they saw each other a lot, and despite trying to stay friendly, it was clear that the situation sometimes tested their patience. But this wasn't the worst part. This unusual setup showed just how committed they were to parenting above all else. They were determined to keep things stable for their kids, even if it meant putting their own wants aside. This arrangement, as uncommon as it might seem, worked because it was built on respect and a shared commitment to their children's happiness and security. Their situation also brings up bigger ideas about how families and relationships work today. It challenges the usual ways people think about life after a divorce and suggests different ways to handle family dynamics after a breakup. Next, see how Jennifer helps blend her family with Ben's new life. A delicate balance. A source shared with the media that both Ben and Jennifer find their current living situation frustrating, but they agree it's the best choice for now. Even years after their split, they continue to be close and support each other through personal challenges. In 2018, during a particularly tough time, he needed to enter rehab for the 3rd time, and it was she who drove him there. They stay open and honest with each other, and she has found ways to explain their complex situation to their children in a way they can understand. His sobriety is very important to her because it directly affects his ability to co-parent their children. She focuses on making sure the father of her kids stays healthy. Both of them have moved on romantically. He is now married to Jennifer Lopez, and she is seeing Jon. Even with their history as a married couple, they have managed to build a strong friendship and support each other's new relationships. He is reportedly happy that she has found someone who makes her happy and who respects their family dynamics. She feels the same, glad to see Lopez bringing out a positive side of him. But this wasn't the hardest part. In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, she shared her confidence in their family setup, looking forward to future events like their children's weddings with joy, without any worries. She believes they will celebrate these occasions happily. However, reaching this peaceful place wasn't easy. Back in 2015, their divorce caused a huge media frenzy, putting her in an unwanted spotlight. There were rumors about his infidelity with the family nanny, but she decided not to add fuel to the fire with any public outbursts or acts of revenge. She has kept a policy of not talking about him publicly, preferring to stay out of the media as much as possible. She dislikes being part of the celebrity news cycle, even when the coverage is positive. She tries to live as if she isn't part of the celebrity world and wants to protect her loved ones from becoming part of the media circus or internet jokes. Even though she knows he could easily become a meme, she chooses to focus on privacy. But this wasn't the end of her challenges. When thinking about her marriages, she says she has no regrets about her second marriage to him. She saw it as a real commitment, not just something for show. Her top priority is always her children and their well-being, and she makes decisions to keep their lives stable. She made it clear that the rumors about the nanny were not the reason for their split. Their relationship had already started falling apart before that story came out. He has also denied the affair, backing up what she has said. As they continue to co-parent, both are focused on giving their children a stable, loving environment, away from the media as much as possible. He admitted in an interview with Howard Stern that he had concerns about getting back together with Lopez, worried about how the media attention might affect his family. The actor has consistently emphasized that his top priority is the well-being and happiness of his children. He has made it clear that he is committed to making choices that will not negatively impact their lives, fully aware that his public persona and the attention it brings inevitably affect them. He has described this as a heavy burden, one that weighs on both him and his ex-wife, who are both well-known public figures. His former spouse, for her part, has shown support for his recent marriage to the singer. Those close to her have noted her generosity and understanding regarding this new relationship, saying she has been nothing but supportive of their marriage. This positive approach has been good for their children, who have reportedly formed strong bonds with the performer, creating a blended family that some have compared to the Brady Bunch. The entertainer herself has praised the ex-wife's co-parenting skills in an interview with Vogue, commending both parents for how they've handled their situation. The singer has expressed a desire to be a caring presence in the lives of her new partner's children, hoping that her role will be positive and supportive. She wants to build a relationship where they see her as someone who genuinely cares for their happiness. She also sees her spouse as a new ally for her own children, hoping to create a blended family grounded in mutual respect and love. But this wasn't the hardest part. The situation has taken an unexpected turn, and now the ex-wife finds herself supporting the new spouse through some of the same relationship challenges she once faced with her former husband. Understanding the complexities involved, she has become an unexpected source of help for the singer. Their relationship has grown surprisingly close, with both women finding common ground in their shared experiences. Amid rumors of possible troubles in the marriage, sources suggest that while no decisions have been confirmed about the couple's relationship status, the support around them, including from the ex-wife, remains strong. She, in particular, is said to be hopeful that the couple can work through any issues, staying optimistic and supportive of their relationship. But the challenges don't end there. Despite the complexities of their relationships and the public's constant attention, the actor and his former spouse have managed to navigate their post-divorce relationship with a focus on co-parenting and mutual support. This approach has benefited their children and allowed them to maintain a friendship that supports their new relationships and family dynamics. His decision to remarry the performer, rekindling a romance that started in the early 2000s, was a bold move that brought back memories of their first engagement and the intense media coverage that followed. They had initially canceled their wedding in 2004 due to this pressure, but reunited years later and finally got married. Recently, however, there have been signs of strain, with the singer attending some public events alone and the couple showing signs of tension at other appearances. But this isn't where the story ends. In the midst of these rumors, the couple took a big step by listing their Beverly Hills mansion for sale, a property they had chosen carefully and invested in through extensive renovations. The mansion, listed at a high price of $68 million, might not turn a profit because of the costs involved in its purchase and the upgrades, showing the financial stakes in their current situation. This public move came after reports that they were no longer living together, with the singer spending time in Italy and the actor staying in Los Angeles. The situation has drawn a lot of media attention, much like the interest that has always surrounded their relationship. As they deal with these challenges, the performer has reflected on themes of change and empowerment in her music, especially in her song Cambia El Paso, which talks about moving forward and embracing change. This song has taken on new meaning in light of her current circumstances, highlighting her message about making decisive moves to improve one's situation and finding happiness in independence and self-reliance. In the end, the complex dynamics between the actor, his former spouse, and his new partner reveal a web of relationships filled with mutual support, co-parenting challenges, and the pressures of being in the public eye. As they move forward, their main focus is on keeping their children and themselves stable and happy, despite ongoing changes and media attention. But what do you think? Could selling their Beverly Hills mansion signal a deeper issue between the couple? Like, comment, and subscribe to join the conversation and share your views.